Processor management is a subtopic under message broker. A processor. Essentially, a processor is responsible for determining the eventual destination for any request sent by a source node. So each processor is deployed on message broker as a compiled DLL, and each source node always has a processor that is attached to it. So for message broker's end, if there's no processor tied to that source node, or the source node doesn't even exist on message broker of course will return an invalid node message. So processors are very key. They are essential for making decisions based on two distinct options. One, you have the source node name and you have a request code. The request code, since the source node name usually will be constant, the other parameter you might require to distinguish each request that may be coming from a particular source node will usually be a request code. For instance, in the switch paradigm, a code of 31 represents a balance inquiry, a code of 50 or more will represent a payment, and so on. So your request code may be determined by the source node that is sending it, and the processor is responsible for using both the request code and source node name to determine the eventual destination of a particular request. So processors are created and uploaded as compiled DLL files. Each processor inherits from the processor interface that has two main methods. There's the pre-process method and the post-process method. The pre-process method is method that is being called whenever message broker needs to make a routing decision, whenever a request just comes from a source node. So it takes in two parameters, source node and the request code. Then once that method is being called, the output that is expected is destination node for that particular request from the processor. So for instance, once a source node A needs to send the message to source node B, usually, for instance, the source node A may be a balance inquiry node and the node B is a web service to get the balance of a particular account. So usually node A will send a message to the processor with a request code 1. So request code 1 from the processor end is assumed to be a balance inquiry request. So once that request is known and the request code gotten is 1, the processor returns a node B as destination node where this message will be sent. So message broker looks for the destination node and sends the message to destination node B. So just as I said, a balance inquiry from a third-party web service. So what we have is a standard account number and institution code. So destination requires a get account balance from a particular node as the sync node, and the sync node is a web service. So you pass in the standard account number and institution code as source parameters, and message broker invokes the destination and passes those two parameters and returns the account balance or an account name inquiry, whichever case it may be. Thank you.